Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes. Thanks for tuning into the podcast today. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo. And if you are someone who's been trying to get a more steady flow of clients in your doors, then listen up. Because today we're going to work on getting you more leads by sharing some ideas of what you can put into a lead magnet to make it appeal to those ideal clients you're trying to attract to your business. So yes, I'm going to be giving you some tangible steps to help you get over one of the most common roadblocks that holds people back from getting a lead magnet in play and up and running. And that's that critical marketing tool you need to start building your list of prospects and leads. So we are going to take the lesson from the last episode one step further today and move into using that knowledge and going through a 7-step process to figure out what is the best content or lessons or knowledge or information to include in your lead magnet. If you're like most people, you're trying to figure out what is it you put in there so that you can make it as appealing as possible to the right type of people. So following this process will help you ensure that what you create is very specific to your business, to your services, and to your ideal clients. It is not a cookie cutter lead magnet that looks like other ones out there that you can just fill in the blanks. And that is a big part of making sure you have something that is appealing to those people you're looking to attract. And you know, it's really funny. 16 years ago, when I started my business, most business owners went blank when you said that term, a lead magnet. Their problem back then was actually, what is a lead magnet? But today, business owners understand what a lead magnet is. They get stuck on what to put into it. They know they need to build an email list. They know they need a lead generation system to make that happen, and that a lead magnet is part of it. They totally get why having a lead magnet can help them grow their business. But the issues these days is really more about creating a lead magnet that will actually get you new leads. Some folks refer to this, and so do I, as wanting a lead magnet that works. We all want a lead magnet that works well. The challenge is it's not always as easy as everyone makes it sound. And more often than not, folks are telling me that they have tried this, they have tried that, they've tried all sorts of things to get that lead magnet working. But when they finally put it out there, nobody was signing up for it. Some people get the ideas going, and then when it's time to finally make that lead magnet come to life, they hit a brick wall and nothing. Nothing comes to mind as something people would want. Nothing comes to mind as to what type of lead magnet they should even put together. Nothing comes to mind, and I hear this one a lot, because my business is different, so the normal things don't work. Nothing comes to mind, often people say, because they don't even feel like whatever they might put together is valuable at all. And that's a comment I hear a lot. Why would anyone even want something like that from me? But this is where the idea and the whole plan to have a lead magnet often just sits there and stagnates. And the business owner gets frustrated because they hear about everybody else having such great ideas and effective lead magnets, and they're getting calls and consults and discovery calls. And they're still stuck trying to come up with anything that might work to appeal to people. So first off, if you are in any of those situations, I want you to know you're being too hard on yourself. There are a lot of people out there in the same boat as you, and I've been there myself. I have also struggled with coming up with something that will be appealing, that does get people signing up all the time. So you're not the only one out there, even though it may be that all you hear about are all the success stories. Often we don't hear about the times people tried over and over again, no matter what it is. Social media makes that really challenging to hear through all the noise that's out there. You just hear more people saying, oh, this did excellent. This went viral. This went better than I could imagine. But they don't often say how long it took them to get to that place. So trust me, many of those ideal lead magnets out there that you're seeing are not even the first. They're not the second iteration. It can take a lot of time and practice to get to that final version of what will work for your business or practice. But there are ways to cut back that time by learning some steps to help you skip over some of the roadblocks people have when you're developing your ideas for a lead magnet that will be effective for your business. So to do this, we're going to take that one piece of knowledge that I taught you about in episode 123 and use that to help you create your effective lead magnet. And I really do mean yours. The goal here is to aim for a custom lead magnet that really speaks to your clients and your services. And you'll do this by making sure it contains the expertise clients pay you for every day when they work with you. Now, that one piece of knowledge I mentioned is what I covered in episode 123. So knowing this is going to help you with the steps we're going to go through today. That means you might want to go back and listen to episode 123. And I will put a link to it in the show notes wherever you're listening to the podcast. So you can click on that, go back, listen to that, and then come back here to finish and learn about this 7-step process. Because that's what I'm going to share with you now, is this process that will help you figure out what is the best content or the best lessons or the best knowledge that you should include in your lead magnet. And this process starts by understanding something about me first and how I teach this. I am a firm believer in teaching what you know. And this means you have to look back at how you work with clients, because almost every one of us who is a service provider has a set way of working with clients. There are specific things we like to cover with each client when we work with them, and we're going to use that as part of this process. It's the same way I really believe that all business owners out there can ultimately learn how to write articles and blogs that are very specific and share information about their services and the way they work with clients. It's just a matter of learning how to take that content, that stuff that you tell people all the time, every day, day in and out. It's all in your head, that brilliance, and we just have to learn how to pull it out so that you can use it. In those cases as articles or blogs. And today, we're going to look at how we can pull that out of you and use that information to create your best lead magnet, that kind that's going to appeal to the people you're looking to attract. So this is where we start when it comes to creating the content and looking at what should I put into my lead magnet. And this process begins by coming up with the ideas for the content for your lead magnet that is based on specifically what your ideal clients will find irresistible. Now, if you're starting new, that's great. We're going to work through all of this here. If you already have a lead magnet out there, but you're looking to optimize or improve it, then I want you to go through these steps and think about creating this as if it was brand new, but then you can go back and look at what you have now and see how that might compare. So I want you to really kind of forget about what you might have in play now if you're looking to optimize, and just pretend you're starting from scratch as we go through these 7 steps. Okay. And I want you to remember the sky is the limit here. We're in idea generation mode. So it is all about thinking broadly with no limits. So when we look at these 7 steps here, I want you to be thinking as much as possible and use your imagination, use your creativity. I know a lot of you sometimes feel like you don't have very much creativity. That's not your jam. That's okay. I just want you to make sure that you're not stifling any ideas or thoughts that you have as we go through this. So step number 1, the first thing that you want to do here is you want to list out that top problem that we identified previously from episode 123. So this is the top problem you want to focus on for this exercise. And you want to make sure you're thinking about the service that you're looking to funnel people to from your lead magnet. So again, we identified this already in the previous lesson. And this is where you really want to think about and focus on what is that service you're looking to ultimately get anybody signing up for the lead magnet to consider, and who is that ideal client when it comes to that service. Then we're going to focus in on the top problem that particular client has, or one of the top three, because maybe you decided through that exercise that it might not be the exact number one problem, but you chose the problem that would be the easiest to use and work with within a lead magnet. So then we're going to move on to the next steps. And these ones in this process are going to help you identify some of that core information that you want to share in your lead magnet. But in order to know what that is, you've got to review all of these questions, because that will help you narrow down what you want to put in your lead magnet. So number 2 in this process is, I want you to think about what is one beginning step that helps your ideal client fix or solve this problem that we're looking to deal with. So what is one main thing that you do at the very beginning, one first step that they would take on the path to solving that problem? And just write that down. You probably will, I'll be honest, listening to this episode today, need a notepad or taking notes somehow, somewhere, okay? I will, on the show notes page, put a list of these questions there, so you can always go there to review them, especially if you're like me, out walking around listening to this podcast while you're doing something else. So know that you can come back to marketingyourprivatepractice.com/124, and I'll have a list of these 7 steps there for you that you can print out. So identify a beginning step people would take on the path to fix or solve that problem. Number 3 here is, I want you to think about what is something you are always telling or teaching people before they use your program or service. So think about that common thing that you may always go back to and tell clients about. Now, for you, you're saying it all the time. For them, it's always new information, but it's something that you find you're consistently going back to with people. For me, it's all about the 10 marketing foundations. So that's how I do it. When I work with people and talk them through marketing their business or practice, we always start with those marketing foundations. So that's something I'm always telling or teaching people about. So take note of that, think about it, and write that down. The 4th step here is, I want you to think about, what does your ideal client need to understand, to be aware of, or even to believe in order to want to sign up and use your services or purchase a program. Or, most people listening to me don't have products, but some do. You never know. But what does that ideal client for that particular service need to have some understanding about when it comes to the services? And this could be an understanding. It just needs to be something they just have to know. It's kind of like the beginning step. It's kind of like those things you're always telling or teaching people about. But I want you to think about it in a different way. What do they need to understand, be aware of, or believe in order to want that service that you have? So number 5 here is, what are the most common questions you are always asked about when you tell people what you do in your business? So if you're giving your elevator pitch somewhere, you're talking to people, they ask you what you do for a living, and you tell them, a lot of times we get questions back. So what are the common questions people say back to you when you tell them what you do for a living? So think about those, write those down as well. Then number 6 is, I want to know when you are working with clients. So say you're in that first session with them, or the first time that you're working with them as a paid client. What are the first 3 things that you review, that you talk about, that you tell clients about when you're in that first initial session with them, that paid session? So what are the main things, and ideally you can list out 3 here, that you would tell people at the very beginning when you're working with them in a paid session? So those are really 5 questions that I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to write some answers down for. And once you've gone through steps 2 to 6 and you've gotten an answer to each of them, that's when you want to move on to step number 7. And this is where you're going to decide which one of those answers in number 2 to 6 in that list could be the best first step that would help people move toward a solution for that top problem they have. So the best way I can give you an example here is I mentioned to you that when I'm thinking about something that I always tell people or teach them about before they use my program or service, that's the 10 marketing foundations. So one of the things that I will often give folks are a list. I will give them my checklist of what these 10 marketing foundations are. So I will give them a sheet that details that because it's a base and it's a key part of everything that I do when we work together. So for me, it's probably not 3 things, but it is. It's the one list of those 10 foundations. I also talk to them about the big picture of online marketing and making sure they understand that as well. And then I also want them to understand the importance of their own website as a key part of their marketing foundations too. So those 3 things are something that I always start with. So I want you to look at, as you're going through all of this, look at these numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the 7-step process and look at those answers in there and think about what is something that you could share with people ahead of time to help them as they move toward that top problem. So when I look at that for my business, I have had over time several different types of lead magnets that have covered some of these things that is helpful for people to know and gives them an answer to something that's part of that overall top problem. So one of them that I have is a quiz for, are your marketing foundations, do you have what you need in place or not? So that is one of the lead magnets that I created because for them to know and understand they're in a good place or not helps them as they move towards setting up the best marketing plans and strategies that they can for their business. So that's how I want you to think about these 7 steps here. So as you go through this process, you're going to answer those middle questions in here. That's more about how you're working with people, the kind of information that you share with them. And then you want to look at them and decide what of those items in there could be the beginning step for people to move towards getting that ultimate solution to the overall problem. Okay. Now, some people will do this as a combination of more than one of those items in the list. Okay. So some people might combine, say, the beginning step with the common questions, or they might combine what is something you're always telling people all about with what they need to know and understand and be aware of before they start. So often you might find that you could combine those together and it will work really, really well. If it's challenging, though, to combine them, I like you to stick to just one thing only because it keeps your lead magnet creation a lot easier. And to be honest, many of the words that you've just written down in those items in the process from steps 2 to 6 are usually things that happen whenever someone begins to work with you as a paid client. And that's why they often make a great beginning when it comes to your lead magnet. Because if almost every client that you work with needs to know that information and it's critical to their transformation of how you're going to help them, why not give it to them ahead of time? Turn that information into some sort of format that you're going to offer as a lead magnet. And that's what you want to put into a lead magnet so that it does appeal to those people that you're trying to attract. Now, deciding on the format, putting it all together, that is going to take some more planning so that you are determining the best type of lead magnet that you can put together as possible. And specifically what you're going to put into the lead magnet, the format, and what that final product will look like. But once you've gone through this 7-step process to identify what you're going to put in your lead magnet as content, as lessons, as knowledge, what do you need in there to appeal to people? When you have that information together, that's going to make the next steps in developing and creating your lead magnet a lot easier because now you're going to have in place that content so that you know what you want to teach people in your lead magnet, what you want to put in there, what you want to include, so that you're putting together the best possible lead magnet you can. And that's where, coming from these steps, you look at it as really and truly the ultimate way to think about it is, what is the best thing somebody should need to know that will teach them something and help them solve a piece of that top problem? Whatever that is, that becomes what you want to put in your lead magnet. So once you've made this determination, you are then ready to go to the next step in creating a lead magnet, which is deciding what kind of format's going to be the best way for your ideal client to consume this information. How are you going to combine all the information together? And then ultimately, what do you need to include in that lead magnet so it's not just information for the person to take in, but that you're also making sure they follow that path that you want to create from the beginning, which is having them sign up for the lead magnet. But ultimately, you want them to land where they might book a discovery call to talk about the service that you offer, that is the one service that you wanted this lead magnet to help lead people to. So I know that's a lot of information to put together, but it is what's going to help you be ready to know, what do you put into your lead magnet that's going to appeal to clients? And once you have all this ready, you're actually ready to put it together. That is what I'm doing in the free lead magnet training bootcamp I'm running over the next few weeks. I'm helping folks take these ideas and these plans that they've started and turning them into a lead magnet that is all ready to get to work and start bringing you in new leads. Now, that training starts on November 22nd, 2024. So if you're listening before then, I really do hope you'll join in. The link to register for that is in the show notes, as are all the other links to the episodes that I was referring to and any other resources mentioned to help you as you go through this process of discovering what do you need to put into your lead magnet. You can find all of those at marketingyourprivatepractice.com/124. And that's also going to be listed in the show notes wherever you're listening into this episode. So if you're ready to get to work and finish off that lead magnet, why not let me help you get it all ready to rock and roll in just 2 weeks? Sign up for that free lead magnet training, and that's what we're going to make happen during those 4 sessions that are part of the bootcamp. And that's all I have for you today. Ways to help you put together a lead magnet that is going to help you ultimately bring in new leads, new prospects, new people that could become your next paying client. And this is Kathy Colaiacovo. Thank you so much for listening in. And remember, to thrive in practice or business means having a lead magnet that will appeal to people, specifically your ideal client. And with that in place, you'll be able to grow your list of prospects and book more clients. I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.